The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Sister Speak. Today you're joined with me, Lamisa, and we also have...
It's me, Faheen. Assalamu alaikum everyone.
Walaikum assalam. Okay, so today we have a really good topic on our show. We're talking about representation of Muslim women in media. And essentially we're going to be kind of exploring the theme of how women are portrayed, Muslim women are portrayed, kind of in the common forms of media that we see, and maybe how to challenge some of the stereotypes that are put through. Firstly, if you guys do want to get involved with any of the discussions that we have on today's program, Fareen, how can they get involved?
So this is a pre-recorded show, so you won't be able to call or chat in on the live, but we do have Instagram at Sister Speak, and you can always send us a message with any thoughts that you have on the show or any topics you might want to listen.
Exactly. So please do let us know about your thoughts on this topic. We really would love to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, and Fareen, do you want to let everyone know what our show's about for anyone who's listening for the first time?
Yeah, so our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues and form discussions on general topics. Please note all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other or opposing similar views and opinions.
Yep, exactly. Okie dokie. So we have a few segments to our show. The first segment is called Thought for the Week. So this is a part of our show where we just basically discuss a thought that we've had this past week. So Fareen, what's your thought for the week?
What's my thought for the week? You know, I was thinking about this lecture that I listened to ages ago, and the lecturer or whatever you call it, he was saying that when we have a white piece of paper and there's a black dot in that paper, we always tend to notice that black dot, and it's just like a kind of like a human instinct on always focus on the negative things about someone. So
Right.
you know what, it made me reflect so much because it's so true. Every time you meet someone, you always have that, everything that's you can see negatively, I don't know, physically or when you talk with them or anything, the negative thing is what sticks with you. And so for me, I was like, I do that sometimes, and it's, you can't help it. It's just how, humans are, maybe just how I am. But I do tend to notice only the negative things about someone. And so him saying that piece of paper is white, and you only focus on that little, it's such a little black dot, and you just focus on that. And it just changed like my point of view on how I see people from, now on.
No, I
Sorry,
think that's...
I cut you off.
No. I was going to say, I think that's very true. I think a lot of us, especially in society as well, we see one issue and we tend to focus on that rather than all the other good things that could have happened, whether that be in a person or whether that be an experience or in a thing. I guess you can broaden that to kind of an outlook on life in general, to be honest, to not focus on the negative things, but rather look at the overarching picture. It is very, kind of eye-opening, I think. You're very right, Fareen.
Yeah, and the thing is that black dot could mean anything. Like that person could have something that you don't even understand, something that you just have to be like understanding of that little black dot. It's not someone's whole personality.
And do you think it kind of also extends to maybe our relationships with people and perhaps forgiveness as well? Because I
does,
think...
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, with regards to some experiences that we could have had with people, if we have a negative one, that tends to sour the relationship in general. And a lot of people, I guess, who have kind of mastered the act of forgiveness, for them, they're not focusing on, to use your words, Fareen, the black dot that they've had in terms of that experience with that person, but they're focusing on all the other good experiences that they've had. And that is probably what allows them to forgive.
Yeah, that black dot, you just have to get to know someone really good to understand why that black dot is there. But you're gonna, in the like process of getting to know that someone, you're always gonna see white, and that little black dot is gonna like look so, it's not gonna be meaningful at all. So I don't think we are humans, we're always gonna focus on the black dot in that first meeting, but it's so important to focus on the white, if that makes sense, that whole process of getting to know a friend or something. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is very interesting thought for the week, Farine. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I think
Same.
a lot of lessons to pull from there as well. So yeah, that was great. um, my thought for the week is going to be on.
I'm excited
Try-
for this.
oh wow, okay, now I feel some pressure. No, my thought for the week for this week is outlooking on the rest of the year, and trying to stay committed to challenging myself. I feel like it's always good to put yourself in situations and environments where you don't feel 100% comfortable and you feel like, maybe this is a little bit hard or maybe this is stretching my abilities. But I think to put yourself in those situations means that you giving yourself the opportunity to develop. I think it's really very important to do that. I'm happy with last year because I think I did do that. I put myself in quite a few situations where I thought I'm not 100% comfortable, but it is developing me. But I don't want to get to a point where I felt like, I've done that and now I don't need to do that anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I think I want to get more into like some of the hobbies that I used to have previously that maybe I've neglected over the years and try and push myself to rekindle those fires. And maybe start writing a bit more and exploring things in the media, and seeking out those opportunities because it's something that I really used to enjoy when I was younger. And I feel like it's something that I want to push myself to do now. And even though it might be a bit hard to juggle things at the moment, I think just having that intention to try and push myself and develop myself that way is always something that's going to be good. So
Oh, that's great, Lemisa. That's a great thought of the week,
but
I
I
feel like
think also
yeah, you go
as
ahead.
as like adults, we like as we're growing up, I realize what my parents say in terms of how difficult it is once you get a job and you have life to try and focus on other things or other hobbies that may have, kind of stimulated you mentally. And so I'm kind of coming to realize that now. And I think what I really do want to do is hold on to, trying to challenge myself in different ways, even as I grow older and my responsibilities, increase.
Yeah, that's. I was gonna say something similar to that. That like I feel like an adult now just because I'm in my first year of uni, and I feel like I have
Mm,
no time to do any of my hobbies. But if you really have a lot of like good time management, you have time to do everything.
mm. So it all comes down to time management and organization
Yeah, it,
skills, I
it
guess,
really
at the end
does.
of it. But also like, how much energy we have and all of that, everything kind of plays into it. But I do think keeping yourself kind of active mentally with doing loads of different types of things is good for you and your brain. I think I definitely am guilty of this, but there's times when you just want to switch off and be a zombie, but you don't want that to take over your life. And I think it's very easy in this day and age for that to happen.
The one thing that I feel like is so consuming for me is, for example, when I'm eating lunch or something, I just start scrolling on my phone, and even though I'm like finished eating, I still scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's just
Mm,
no end to it. And then you look at the time, and there's been like 3 hours, and it's those 3 hours you could have done so many things. Go gym, you could have, I don't know, like you were saying, wrote something, but no, just scrolling on your phone.
So I guess like trying to be more active with the things that we're doing is
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
something we want to, do. But yeah, I guess those are our thoughts for the week, this week. If you guys do have your thoughts for the week, please do follow us on Instagram at Sister Speak, where you can let us know your thoughts for the week and we'll read them out on the show. Okay, so I guess that's that. I'm now going to move on to our hot topic. So, hot topics are a segment of the show where we talk about things that are relevant to us in this moment of time. And so, what our hot topic this week is surrounding kind of the role and the power that media has to play in this day and age. Fareen, I wanted to ask you very quickly, have you heard about recently all of the things going on with regards to um, the sub postmasters and things that have happened to them with the post office case recently?
No, I haven't
Ah,
actually.
you haven't? Wow, that's very interesting. Because it's a very hot topic at the moment where there's been a dispute, should I say, between the post office and sub postmasters who are people who run the post office. And
Mhm.
essentially, a lot of them were kind of, um, how do we put this in a way? A lot of them ended up having to pay fines and were wrongfully convicted, many of them, due to errors that were happening with the system.
Mhm.
But I wanted to talk about more about the role of the media and the role the media had to play, in this case and bringing it to light. So recently there was a 4-part kind of ITV drama that outlined the whole case, and followed the character's journey and things like that, who are based off of real people's stories. And that's kind of brought this all to light, and a lot of people are discussing it, and politicians as well are putting a lot of importance on the issue. But questions are being raised, by members of the public, and articles that are being written online regarding why it's taken so long, and a drama from a big kind of TV producer to get this case the spotlight that it needs. And I guess that's kind of something that I wanted to ask you with regards to the role of the media in today's day and age. Like, how do you think the media influences what kind of stories we see and the importance that are placed on different issues?
I didn't know this was a hot topic. Is this how long was this case going on for? Like, is it? I have no idea.
Yeah, so it's been going on for a very long time. Initially, it started, the kind of issue itself happened in early 2000s, going up to 2010s, and then the case that was brought on by the sub postmasters against the actual post office was kind of ranging from, there were various cases that went on, so the legal battle was really, really long. And there were kind of media outlets that were reporting this, but it wasn't given a lot of emphasis, and not a lot of people paying attention. And so it's recently that the ITV drama came out, and actually it's been gaining a lot of attention in the news now. So yeah, it's taken a long time. The whole thing has been going on for roughly 18 years or so. But I mean, I guess my
Wow.
main question
You know what?
is,
I think issues like this are.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
No, it's okay. Sorry, you got cut off.
I lost my train of thought.
Well, I think I'll start off. I think media plays a huge role with regards to kind of what we pay attention to in our daily lives, because a lot of us, we don't know what's going on, and we're only connected to the wider world and the issues that are going on through media, whether that be the news, whether that be through film and drama and TV productions that we see, or whether that be through social media. And so we can see from that the media holds a huge influence over the general public, over where we get our information and what information we're seeing. And I think we underestimate, a lot of us in day to day, we kind of know this, but we don't realize the huge impact that it actually has. So something as big as a case like this, a domestic case that has been going on for so many years, has not been given the attention until a drama about it was produced and everyone's seen it, and they've kind of been able to empathize with the stories that have gone on. And now it's become a massive hot topic, and obviously there's public outcry and outrage. But I think that's kind of the power that the media holds, and we need to be aware of that, because of the fact that the timing of these stories and the information that's giving out is all there and can kind of push us in directions of thought without us even realizing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I was gonna say, real issues like this ones, they're never put like as headline news or in the spotlight if there's no like drama involved. Obviously, there's like an ITV series on it, and that's why it's attracting so many attention, because it's like, it's a platform where people see and they expect to see any drama, they expect to see like a storyline, and that's one of the reasons why it came to the spotlight now, even though I didn't know about it. That's what I wanted to say.
I see. In terms of kind of the growing role of social media in our day-to-day lives, and actually the role of social media as news outlets, separate to kind of the mainstream news that we see, how do you think that is kind of changing the way that people are influenced by news and maybe biases that might come through?
It's changing so much. I've started working as a media intern from my university, and you can every time you. So what I basically have to do is you take a news outlet, something that's really interesting, something that attracts a little bit of controversy, then you make a TikTok on it, you add critical thinking, right? So every single topic that you do, even though it's important, it's a real issue, it doesn't get that much attraction if you do some if it isn't something that involves drama between, I don't know, famous people. So the media, the way I'm talking about like my age, the way we see media is just, influencers, it's just drama, controversy, someone bought this, someone bought that, but there's no real news outlet for us, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't go on the news on, I don't know, BBC and check the news. All my news, everything that's new, that everything that is happening in the world that's new, I just take it from, I don't know, TikTok, Instagram, something that doesn't take that much time. It's only like a 2-minute video, which is really bad because our attention span is just, decreasing every day. But I wouldn't go to a BBC News website and see it. Sorry.
I see. So you've highlighted an important issue, I think, is the fact that a lot of us, we are looking for convenience over everything. And so with social media and news being on there, it's a lot more convenient and easier for us to see rather than have to seek it out ourselves. With regards to whether that helps combat bias or not in kind of the news field and with regards to information that we get, I think in a way it does, because of the fact that there's so many different types of news outlets out there, and with that some may be more biased than others, but at least you have access to all of the information that's available. I think the downfall to social media being that outlet for all those different types of news sources is the fact that we all know on social media there's algorithms that tailor what we see to our choices. And so in that sense, if I'm always seeing a particular type of kind of news, or I'm interested in a particular set of issues, news surrounding that and also news supporting my views are just going to be reinforced because the algorithm is just going to show me what I want to see. So I think there's kind of two ends to the story. If you want to get a broader view, you can easily access that information, but you have to seek it out yourself. And so I think in a way it does combat media bias, but in where the onus is kind of more on ourselves. And I guess that's the same as, with news that we see on the TV, for example. It's up to you to go to various different channels and look it all up. So yeah, but I do think it's interesting.
Yeah, and with bias, we also have, for example, I'm gonna go with TikTok again because it's the app I use the most. But you also have the comments. So even though if that news outlet is just giving information and there's no opinion behind it, when you look at the comments, the first comment, if there's an opinion, then that's what's gonna stick through your head, and that's where you're gonna think. Have you seen it happen to you sometimes that you watch a TikTok and then you have something going on in your head about that TikTok, and then you open the comments and it's something completely different, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what people are thinking, so I'm going to think this too.
I see. No, that's very interesting, because actually with social media, you're right, we can all see the discussion and what different people are thinking in the comments, and a lot of us do scroll through those, so that kind of opens up your mind, I guess, to what people are saying. That's very true. It makes kind of discussion a lot easier, because you can get involved with discussion with loads of different types of people online as well regarding the topic, which obviously if you're watching like news on the TV, you can't.
Yeah, very, definitely. Very true.
Okie dokie. So Farine, do you have anything else to say on this topic?
On the the thing is with media outlets and news, I just feel like it doesn't come up on my algorithm at all. Maybe it's because I'm not searching, like actively searching for it, but it's just something that it just doesn't come up. And I feel like obviously because of everything that I've liked and everything doesn't necessarily link to anything that's happening in the UK, in news, something that's highlighting. It's just irrelevant stuff that you would see on social media and be like, okay, like something, it's not anything that's going to make you think or that's going to make you angry, that's going to make you,
I see. So are you kind of more swaying towards trying to seek out more of these news outlets and be more informed that way?
Yeah, and like I said, as I'm making TikToks for that account, and through that, I got to learn so many other points of view of other people and how to be a critical thinker, because that's like the main point of making this TikToks. It's to always look at both what do you say, like both perspectives, and then
Mm.
argue why one perspective is better than the other one. And so through that,
Mm.
I got to know so many more, news, how to kind of give that news to an audience without sounding like you're from one, like without sounding, how do you say, sounding,
Bias.
yeah, yeah.
I see. Wow. No, but that's good. I think that's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of us might be taking in a lot of different opinions with news, and maybe we might not be critically thinking as much with regards to how we feel about this. And we may not be, kind of looking it up and trying to get as much information as we can to come to a informed conclusion. I'm talking about me in particular as well, because I feel like a lot of things I kind of see in the news and you just kind of see the first article and don't really go beyond that. But actually it's important for us to stay in tune with everything that's going on in the world and current affairs, whether that be domestic or international, because of the fact that these are things that ultimately do impact us at the end of the day, especially with regards to domestic news, and I guess in line with politics too. These are the things that govern us. Policy is what governs us and how we live our lives day to day. And if we're not informed about those topics and aren't aware of what's going on at what time, then how are we going to be able to, discern what's good for us and what's not good for us, and then be able to, make decisions that way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, you have to think a little about it. About
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, that's, I guess, wraps up our hot topic for this week, talking about the role of media in kind of the news that we get day to day, the spotlight that's given to different stories, and how it affects our decision making processes. I guess we can move on to our hot topic. I mean, not our hot topic, our main topic. A lot of words today. Sorry about that. So we're going to move on to our main topic now, which is regarding representation of Muslim women in the media. Fareen, I know you chose this topic. Do you want to just let everyone know why you chose this topic?
Yep, sure. So I chose this topic because normally all the headlines that I've seen about Muslim women is there's no achievements involved in it. It's just something negative, and
Mm.
I don't understand why when there's so many achievements. Like I don't know if you remember, but that show we did on that hijabi girl was in a World Cup, and then there's so many stories that are so inspiring, and they should get so much audience, but they don't, just because it's a positive thing that involves Muslim women. That's how I think. Obviously all opinions and views are our own. And then so what the news do, they just highlight negative stories behind Muslim women, and it just makes me really angry, because we have so much to give, and it's nice to get recognition when something good is happening. There's no need to always focus on the negative. And obviously the news always tend to focus on that because it gets them more views, but that just depends on the audience.
I see. Well, it's a very great topic, and I think your reasons for choosing it are all, 100% correct. With regards to, very quickly, because we don't have a lot left in our first half, but with regards to the representation of women in media in recent years, how do you think that that's kind of evolved over time?
When I was younger, I never saw a hijabi or just generally a Muslim woman on at that time Musically or Instagram. All my feed used to be just people that weren't Muslim or non-hijabis. But now there's so many. I've seen hijabis, there are actresses, hijabis that are in sports. Like me just being a hijabi and being on this radio show is enough for me to kind of see that how we are evolving over the years. Because when I was, I don't know, 12, 13, there wasn't any, I don't know, podcast show or anything with hijabis, and now there's so many. So that I
Yeah.
think that has evolved over the years.
Yeah, that's very true. I think social media has a massive part to play with regards to showing authentic versions of us, showing us as we are. So on social media, you can see so many different accounts run by so many different Muslim women regarding so many different topics, and that's just it. We're just like any other person on the planet, if that makes sense. But I
Yeah,
think a narrative has been strung over years where people don't necessarily understand us and they try and portray us in a particular way. But I think social media is given the opportunity to kind of dispel that.
there's so many stereotypes, and now we have kind of the power through social media to challenge those stereotypes, show the world that we're not just, you know, sitting at home not doing anything. We have so much to give. We have so much recognition that we don't crave, but it's nice to get once in a while.
And I think even with the stereotype of, a common thing is seeing Muslim women as kind of at home or as wives and things like that. I think they don't get to it's not authentic in terms of the depictions of how we are. Like, whether that be you are a housewife or whether that be you are someone who works, or whatever it is, the characters are always so one-dimensional, if that makes sense. It never goes deeper into the story of that Muslim woman, how she feels, and the challenges that she might be facing day to day. But we will be continuing this interesting discussion after the break. We've unfortunately come to the end of the first half. So please do join us, inshallah. We'll be continuing this discussion. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Atif Nawaz. Listen to Inspire FM shows in your time by heading over to inspirefm.org or listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Sister Speak. So before the break, we started our main topic surrounding representation of Muslim women in media. And I think I just started talking about the point of the fact that a lot of representation that we get in film pieces or, kind of TV programs tends to depict Muslim women as pretty one-dimensional with regards to the things that they do. And kind of the thought process that they might be having. And I think in the future, what would be nice to see is a well-developed Muslim female character who has their own thought processes, their own storylines and development to that character. Because as people, we're not one-dimensional people. What do you think, Fareen?
We are not one-dimensional people. Even if you're, I don't know, a housewife, there's so many facets to you. You have hobbies, you have your personalities, you have your friends, like you have a life pretty much. And there's not just one little, label that you're this and that's it. There's so many facets, like in every other human, but just when they see us as Muslim women, the only thing they see is that little label that people put on us.
And also, I don't like how being a housewife is depicted quite negatively a lot of the time. I think in situations where people have written that story, like in a particular setting where the story is authentic and has come from a person who has experienced that, that's different. But when all you see in every single drama or TV series is, this depiction of being a housewife as being the most terrible thing in the world, and it doesn't go into the actual challenges and struggles that comes with, along with the happy times and the joys that a mother might be able to feel whilst cultivating, her house and the people in there. I feel like I said, it's just so one-dimensional, and I just hope that in the future, with more and more Muslim writers and more Muslim female writers, a lot of the way that we're depicted in the media is going to be different, and it's going to be able to give a true account of who we are and things that we do.
Yeah, I agree. Every single time you see someone in a series that's a housewife, it's always really laid back, quiet, just looking at issues passing by, and it's not the reality. I mean, it might be for some people, but it's not reality, and you have to show, something that's real in your series.
I think, but I think this is where diversity is really important, actually, and that plays a role in it all, with regards to writers and filmmakers and in media in general. We have a diverse kind of cohort of people bringing these productions to life, even if they're not the main writer, even if it is just to fact check and things like that. I think diversity is really important to bringing our stories to light, if that makes sense, and being able to make it real.
Yeah, it's nice to relate.
Yeah. And I think also there needs to be diversity in the stories that are brought to light as well, because that way you can kind of show as many people's experiences as possible. I think a lot of criticism comes from the fact that we don't show as like people will be like, that's not my experience. But I think the point of the matter is that we need to go out there and show people what our experiences are. A lot of the time we're not as, maybe in our communities, we're not as akin to people joining media as a career path. But I think it is really quite important that a lot of us get more and more involved in it. Otherwise, how are we going to tell our stories in an accurate way? What do you think about that?
Yeah, we have the right to have a voice. And I think if someone is not comfortable being on the media, then they can always, they can tell me and I come say it on this radio show.
And do you think that we kind of, because we're in our communities, we're not as geared towards it. Do you think in the future we should try and, cultivate those interests in our future generations more and more?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important to have. You don't necessarily need to have a platform. You can just share your thoughts on your social media with everyone and have your own opinion, which is so important for everyone. So it is very important. I think as of now, it's growing so much, so it's obviously going to grow much, much in the future.
And I think with regards to careers as well, there are more and more people like Fareed said who are getting involved in media, whether that be online or whether that be through major kind of production companies, etc., etc. And I think in the day and age where we have technology at our disposal, you can try. It's a lot easier now to get in contact with Muslim people in the field than it was a long time ago. So always try and network and get involved and see how these people kind of made their way in the industry. And then maybe you can try and do the same with regards to, for example, if you wanted to be a writer, getting your articles published in the news and things like that. There's always routes. And I think with the age of social media, it just makes it so much easier to do that. And perhaps making it easier to get into those career paths. So we're just going to move on to the next question now. What role do media institutions and content creators play in shaping a more inclusive narrative for women, for Muslim women even? I think we just discussed that a little bit. The fact that it's a huge role that they have in social media definitely adds to that. What do you think, Fareed?
I agree. I think with content creators, because they're obviously, like I said before, they're real people that have their own platform, and the ones that I listen to, they don't have any kind of, would you say, like restrictions in what they can say. It's just purely their opinion or their experiences, their life, and it makes me feel so, included. Like we're having kind of the same experiences. Even if we're not having the same experiences, just listening to that experience and being like, oh, okay, she's a real person and she really went through this. And I just feel so much more like we're friends pretty much with content creators and with Muslim women. We kind of go through the same things, and even if we don't, we understand why they went through those things. I don't know if that makes sense.
I see. So it makes it easier almost and takes down the barriers to understand the experience that the person has had on the other side.
Yeah, it makes us more understanding towards them. And even if it's not just because we're Muslim women, if anyone listens to it, then it just makes you feel so much more, is it empathic, the word?
Yeah, I guess so. Like that you're able to relate or understand on a deeper level, I guess. Okay. And just another question for you, Fareed, then. What are some positive role models or characters that break stereotypes of Muslim women in the media, and why are they important?
Some positive role models or characters that break stereotypes. I'm gonna go with a content creator that I follow, and her name is Hajar Brown. I used to follow her when I was I still follow her, but I used to follow her when I was in Spain, and she was a hijabi actress that was in this series. And when you see a hijabi it was a famous in Spain, it was a famous series, and I just thought, okay, halfway through the series, she's gonna take the hijab off and start going crazy. but she didn't. Like everything that was going on in her life, she was in high school, she was in her teenage years wearing the hijab as a Muslim woman, and every single like experiences that was happening in the series was really relatable to what like I was in high school the same time that she was in high school in that series. So
Mm.
her just like first she was a hijabi and so she was Muslim, obviously a hijabi. She was also brown, so I just related to her so much, and she's someone that I still follow, and I wouldn't say she's my role model, but it's someone that I because she wait cut this out. Give me 1 second. So because she is a content creator in Spain and she's also an actress, she is kind of so she was the first one, and then everyone started going off behind her, as in, okay, we can
Mm.
do this. So she is kind of my role model, and I've been following her since I was, I don't know, 13 or 14. Just
Yeah,
seeing her on the TV and seeing her as a Muslim in high school was just really relatable, and it made me feel included in life.
I see. And I guess also like seeing these people in the industries that they're in without compromising their values or their faith, I think also helps us to kind of be like, we can get there without having to compromise these things, you know? I think that's a big issue for a lot of people in this day and age, where they feel like maybe to get far in these industries, there are things that you need to compromise. But actually seeing people succeed and not having to compromise those values is something that gives you that bit of reassurance, but also tells you you don't need to do that, you know?
Yeah, sometimes it's really sad to see when people do or sacrifice, like you said, their religion to get somewhere, and then they see another person doing the exact same thing but not compromising any of their beliefs. And you just have to be a bit you just have to be brave, because religion is should always come first, and your beliefs should always come first. And so sacrificing that just to get to something, like you should, with religion you're gonna get to that something.
I
Without it,
see.
you're just gonna struggle more.
Mm. I think there are a lot of female role models who have come to light. I think my personal role model, I wouldn't say role model, but someone who I really do respect for getting to where she is Zara Sultana. So I'm not talking in a political context about her, but rather her as a person, and the way that she's been able to get to her position and say and talk about some of the issues that she's talked about, I think is really brave on her part, but also she kind of voices opinions that we've heard around, but haven't necessarily seen being said on as large a platform. But the platform that she holds and the matters that she talks about are really important issues, and I think I do respect her for getting to the position that she's got to, and making sure she talks about kind of issues that are important to the people around her and the community that she kind of supports. So yeah, I think I'd hope in the future that we'd see more and more.
I didn't know about her. I'm gonna research her.
Oh, please do. Like more and more South Asian um and Asian, females in the political sphere, I think would be great to see, hosting a diversity of opinions. Um I think it would widen representation and also bring light to a lot of issues that we haven't even seen being discussed on that large of a scale, you know?
Yeah, there's so many Muslim women that won Nobel prizes because of, I don't know, because they're human rights activists and everything, and we never see their names. We just we don't. I haven't even seen a picture of it. And then there's some famous, I don't know, actress that won an award for a movie, and that's gonna be headline news. It's just something that makes me
Mm,
really angry, because winning a Nobel Prize, firstly as a Muslim woman, is already a challenge, and then doing all the stuff that you're doing, which is human rights activists, and you're fighting for freedom of not freedom, fighting for women's rights, I don't know, children's rights, anything, and you win a Nobel Prize, it should be like the main storyline, the main headline. I don't
Do
know,
you
that's
think the
just my opinion.
responsibility kind of falls down to us for not taking as much interest as a community and maybe pushing it forward more?
I think it does, like we've said everything with algorithm and everything, us just not paying attention to it, because we as a community, obviously we're Muslim women, so we should be supportive. And sometimes you just, even I focus on the irrelevant things and not focus on this such important achievements that are happening in with this Muslim women. So we don't focus on those big achievements. We just focus on the relevant little things. And as a community, we should be, as a Muslim community, we should be the ones that are supportive of it, and not just kind of how do you say, not just kind of ignore it or not talk about it.
I see. I think there's, with the question that I asked, I think there's two things. I think one, we of course, like you said, Fareen, we should be involved with what's going on in our community, and we should be seeing and trying to cultivate talent and voices within our female population, and trying to push us forward. I think we need to focus on that, and we need to ensure that all of the bright, intelligent young girls that are within our community have every single opportunity available to them to be able to make use of their potential. But I also think, with regards to like wider society, obviously they also have a responsibility in listening to our stories and making sure that we're also included in kind of media representation. I think it's a two-way thing, but I think one won't happen without the other. And if we're not supportive, and that support is not there, then it's not going to go far in the wider context, and no one's going to be there to listen. So I think we definitely need to take an interest in things that are happening within our community, and role models that have occurred. For next week's show, should we bring one Muslim female kind of person that has done an amazing achievement, or someone we think should be known about a bit more?
We definitely have to. They're always welcome to our show. This is what our show is about.
Yeah. So I think next week let's each bring a person in terms of someone that we've researched about in the news or in the media, or even in the past, who's done something amazing and we think that our listeners should know a bit more about. Okay, I'll move on to the next question now.
Yeah.
In what ways do you think that media can better represent the diversity within Muslim women and the community that we have, considering factors like ethnicity, culture, and professions?
Wait, let me look up this question first.
All right, firstly, I'll go ahead and answer it. I think in the different ways that media can better represent it, I think firstly, you need to have diversity within your team when you are producing something, and that way that can bring a light to a lot of the issues and maybe kind of things that you need to portray. I think secondly, with regards to things like the factors such as professions, I don't think I've seen a lot of Muslim women be portrayed in roles of power, whether that be as a CEO, whether that be as like a big boss lawyer, for example.
Me neither,
doctors, I don't see that being portrayed as much. And there are a lot of shows surrounding these kind of corporate cultures and things like that, and we don't necessarily see our people being represented in that way. Looking at that and diversifying the types of people that are there, I think would be interesting to see in the future. And maybe seeking out those characters in real life, because a lot of what we see in the media, and let's just talk about like television and film, for example, these characters in these stories are based off things you've seen in real life. And I think a lot of people haven't taken the effort to go out and seek their stories, maybe. And so that would help.
Yeah. With media, I feel like the majority of the media that represents this woman is not accurate sometimes, and that's my opinion. Just the majority of stuff that I've seen with whether it be Muslim women or hijabi women, it's not an accurate representation. It's just that same stereotype all over again.
So how do you think that they can kind of reduce that or mitigate that or overcome that?
They, media, the series or the TV producers, they have the power to break those stereotypes. They have such a big platform, and it's gonna get such a so much audience. And there's hijabi actresses like Hajar Brown, like I mentioned before. She's a hijabi actress, so she knows real life experiences that have happened to her, the struggles that she goes through as a Muslim hijabi woman in Spain. So just getting real people that are interested in acting out those characters and kind of getting their story, or just getting real people to tell that story and then showcasing that story as it is without changing it. That I think that's one of the ways that we can get accurate representation.
Okay, so Fareen, the next question that I have is the impact of underrepresentation of Muslim women in the media. Like, what is the impact of that on society's understanding of Muslim women?
The underrepresentation of Muslim women is such a big thing in shaping opinions on us within like the community or the society. Whatever we see in the media, we think that's true. We never challenge it and be like, that's not true, or this is not how it is, or it's different. We just go with it. Like I said before, everything that comes up on your TikTok For You page, and every single opinion, every single comment, you just take it in your head, even though you don't want to. It sticks with you. And every time you see someone like that in real life, then you have that first opinion. That's what underrepresentation is such a bad thing for us, because this, like I said before, a majority of media portrayals of Muslim women is the same stereotype. From what I've seen, it's the same stereotype. So obviously, if that same stereotype gets repeated all the time, then society or the community just have that one vision of us. They don't have any other representation, other perspectives of our lives. So
Have you ever seen that kind of play out in real life? For example, someone was expecting you to be a certain way, and then once they've met you and understood you, it's kind of been completely different.
Yeah, I've with people I've met at uni, I'd be like, it should not be, because we're all like kind of the same age. So I thought we would have an understanding that this is not how, this is not necessarily how we have to be all the time. And so I was like I said, I'm gonna say it again. I think I said it 3 times, but I'm doing the media side for the TikTok account for the university. And so when I said it to this 2 girls that I just met one day, they were like, "Why are you doing that?" They were, "Why are you even doing social media like this?" And I was like, "I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just doing critical thinking, just giving news out. Just making little videos, like 1-minute videos. There's nothing wrong with that." She said, "But you have to be kind of in the dark." So that was one of the experiences that I had in literally my first week of uni.
I see. It's quite interesting, because I do agree with you. I think like we're portrayed in the media in a certain way, and a lot of the time people take that on board because it's the only experience that they've had of Muslim women. A lot of the time, like these issues that we see in the media, we haven't experienced firsthand, and so that's really the only thing that we have to go off. And so even in this day and age, when I go to a new area, for example, for work and things like that, I feel like people do make an assessment of you based on what you look like. And obviously as hijabis, that may be completely different to how we actually are. And then you open your mouth and you talk to them, or the interaction that you've had, a lot of the time I've actually seen like visible surprise on people's faces, which I think is really interesting, because of the fact that we all do like come up with a judgment of someone when we see them first, right? But I think it goes to show just how different we really are to their assumptions or maybe assessments of us based on perhaps what they've seen in the media.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
human. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think I noticed how big an effect it had prior to visibly seeing people's reactions once they speak to me.
Yeah, and what I've realized within the Muslim community, it's kind of understandable. Like they won't challenge you because they understand. It's just outside of that. Sometimes we might have some experiences where it is our people, but normally it's just people that they were, because we're living in it, right? We're Muslim, so we know, but they only go based off of, obviously, like you said, what they see in the media, what they see in series, and that's their version of us. So they think that whatever they see in the series is in real life, and we have to challenge those kind of stereotypes in real life, and so they understand that this is, this is reality. This is not what's happening in the media or in this film.
I see. Yeah. So, Farine, just to wrap today's show up and this topic up in particular, how do you think we can be more empowered to kind of share our own stories and take that initiative to make sure that depictions of us in the media are more accurate?
So one thing that I really go off to is that if you don't say anything, that's what that person is gonna think, and just wait, that person is only gonna stuck with whatever they saw. So if you don't speak out, then you're not changed. So and that person is gonna influence so many other people with only that one version of you. So that is kind of what I go off with, and my kind of reasons to challenge whatever stereotype they're in real life, whatever stereotype they're giving me. And obviously, for example, us on our radio show, whoever wants to speak out on some issue or feels any does have any thoughts about underrepresentation of Muslim women in the media, do let us know on Instagram at Sister Speak.
Yeah. I think one way we can definitely empower ourselves as well is by making sure that we push ourselves and excel to the best and educate ourselves to then feel like we can be ready to kind of tell our stories. I think a lot of it comes from confidence, being able to speak about whatever we want to speak about. It stems from having the confidence to do that in the first place. And I think us being the best versions of us, whether that be in an academic way, whether that be in a professional setting, or whether that just be through good character, I think that's the way we can truly empower ourselves to be able to speak up and talk about the things that we find important, to be able to talk about our stories, and to be able to ensure that the way we are depicted is accurate. So yeah, I think that's the best way we can do it, is to kind of push ourselves and always to be the best that we can be.
And to always share with your close friends. If you don't have if you're not comfortable speaking out, always sharing it with your close people that understand you and that kind of do something for you.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that does bring us to the end of the program this week. We did discuss quite a lot of things today's show. But yeah, if you guys are interested in kind of keeping up with us and keeping up with the shows, please do follow us at Sister Speak. We're always on Inspire FM Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So yeah, inshallah, we'll see you next week for another show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.